Before you hear this message, take a deep breath. Release everything you've been holding. Because Archangel Michael has a message that you were meant to hear today. A message that carries urgency. A message that carries truth. A message that carries a warning. And a message that carries protection. He says, listen carefully. This will shock you. But it will also prepare you. It's too serious for you to ignore now. You may have felt it lately. A strange heaviness. A sudden shift in your emotions. Moments where everything feels intense, confusing, overwhelming, or too quiet. You're not imagining it. You're not overthinking. You're not being dramatic. Archangel Michael is revealing. You are in a spiritual transition that the enemy doesn't want you to survive. But heaven refuses to let you fall. This message is coming now because your spirit has reached a defining moment. The kind of moment where one decision, one step, one prayer, one insight, can alter the entire direction of your destiny. And Archangel Michael says, the truth you are about to hear will protect you from what was meant to destroy you. Archangel Michael says, you have no idea how close the enemy came to breaking you. And you have no idea how powerfully heaven stepped in to protect you. This is serious. This is urgent. This is something you can't ignore anymore. Because lately, something has been happening to you spiritually, quietly, secretly, subtly, but consistently enough that it started affecting everything around you. And Archangel Michael reveals the truth. You have been under a hidden spiritual attack, one that you didn't recognize because it didn't look like an attack. It didn't come through arguments. It didn't come through people yelling. It didn't come through obvious drama. It came in whispers. It came in waves. It came in the soft, silent pressure on your spirit. You felt it as a sudden heaviness, a strange sadness, a lack of motivation, moments of unexplained fear, thoughts that didn't sound like you, anxiety appearing out of nowhere, confusion that clouded your judgment, doubt creeping into your strongest areas. And you started wondering, why do I feel like this? Why am I losing energy? Why does everything feel harder? Why do I feel distant from myself? Archangel Michael says, because something tried to dim your light from the inside. Not through circumstances, but through your mind. This attack wasn't loud. It was subtle. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. It wasn't obvious. It was disguised as your own emotions. And that's what made it dangerous. Because the enemy knows. You are too strong spiritually to be destroyed dramatically. You are too protected to be broken openly. You are too aligned to fall for obvious traps. So the attack turned inward. Archangel Michael says, the battle targeted your thoughts because your mind is the doorway to your destiny. If the enemy can confuse your mind, he can distract your purpose. If he can drain your energy, he can delay your progress. If he can make you doubt yourself, he can weaken your spiritual authority. If he can plant fear, he can block your faith. And that is exactly why you've been feeling off for weeks. It wasn't your imagination. It was interference. But here is the truth the enemy did not expect you to hear. You recognized something was wrong. You sensed something was shifting. You refused to collapse. Even when you felt drained. Even when you felt unmotivated. Even when you felt spiritually distant. Your spirit still fought. Your heart still reached for God. Your intuition stayed awake. Your inner strength refused to die. Archangel Michael reveals something powerful. You survived an attack meant to silence your calling. Because the enemy saw something about you that you haven't fully understood yet. You are getting too close to breakthrough. You are getting too close to clarity. You are getting too close to destiny. You are stepping into alignment. You are stepping into your real identity. You are stepping into divine purpose. And the closer you get, the harder the enemy tries to distract, confuse, or weaken you. That's why the attack came now. Not last year, not last month. But right when your spirit started rising. Archangel Michael says, the enemy's attack intensified. Because your anointing increased. Heaven has elevated you. Your spiritual rank has increased. And the spiritual world recognized it before you did. That's why. People changed suddenly. Relationships felt drained. Your environment felt heavy. Habits that were fine before now feel wrong. Your heart became selective. Your intuition became sharper. Your boundaries became stronger. You are not the same person. Your spirit shifted. Your energy upgraded. Your calling awakened. And the enemy panicked. So the attack targeted the silent places of your soul. But Archangel Michael says something even more serious. The enemy underestimated your resilience. He forgot who protects you. Because while the attack was happening, Archangel Michael was already fighting on your behalf. He blocked what was meant to reach you. He dismantled traps set against you. He destroyed plans meant to confuse you. He cut cords draining your energy. He shielded your spirit while you were unaware. And that is why the attack failed. That is why you're still standing. That is why you haven't collapsed. That is why your spirit is waking up again. Archangel Michael says, you are stepping out of the attack and into awareness. And the moment you become aware, you become dangerous to the enemy. Because now you understand. This was not weakness. This was warfare. This was not confusion. This was interference. This was not random. This was spiritual strategy. And the enemy failed. Archangel Michael ends this part with one powerful declaration. You were attacked because you are chosen. You survived because you are protected. And now the enemy fears what comes next. Because your rise will be visible. Archangel Michael says the reason you have felt confused, tired, or spiritually blocked is not because you are weak. It is because you have been surrounded by more spiritual distractions than you realize. These distractions are not random. They are strategically placed to weaken your focus, drain your energy, and disconnect you from the path that God has prepared for you. He says, listen very carefully, because this is serious. What you are feeling, what you are facing, and what is trying to pull you down is not just life happening. It is spiritual interference. There are moments when you sit alone and think, why do I feel so heavy? Why do I feel pressure in the spirit? And Michael says, it is because something has been trying to pull you away from your divine alignment. Something has been trying to blind you from the truth of who you are becoming. You have been stepping into a higher calling, a higher level of purpose, and a higher level of spiritual strength. But every time a person rises, distractions rise too. The enemy does not attack the weak, the enemy attacks the chosen. The enemy does not distract the ones on the wrong path, he distracts the ones getting close to breakthrough. Archangel Michael reveals this truth. Some of the people around you have been unknowingly used as distractions. Not because they are evil, but because they are spiritually open to influence. Conversations that drain you, arguments that appear out of nowhere, sudden emotional triggers that take you backwards instead of forward, all of these are distractions sent to delay your progress. He says you must recognize what is happening. These distractions were designed to make you forget your assignment. They appear as pressure, but they are actually indicators that you are getting closer to your next season. Every time you try to pray, something tries to interrupt. Every time you try to stay focused, something tries to pull you into confusion. Every time you try to elevate, something tries to remind you of your past. Michael says, these are not coincidences. These are spiritual signals. You are being fought because you are carrying destiny. The distraction is proof of your calling. He also says there is a battle over your mind. You have been waking up with thoughts that are not yours. Thoughts that tell you to give up. Thoughts that tell you that nothing will change. Thoughts that try to convince you that what God promised is too far away. These are not your thoughts, they are attacks meant to distort your vision. Michael wants you to know this. If the enemy cannot destroy your faith, he will try to distract it. If he cannot stop your blessing, he will try to delay it. If he cannot silence your voice, he will try to confuse it. But this is the part that many people do not understand: the distraction always arrives right before elevation. Every major spiritual transformation is preceded by pressure. Every answered prayer is preceded by interference. Every breakthrough is preceded by a battle. Archangel Michael says, the reason this season feels intense is because you are crossing into a new spiritual territory. You are leaving the old cycle. You are stepping into your next purpose. And the distractions have been trying to hold you in the familiar, so you do not step into the new. He reveals another truth: some of the emotions you are feeling are not yours. Some of the heaviness you are carrying is not your own. You have absorbed the confusion, the fear, and the energy of the people around you. And it has been affecting your clarity. Michael says, you must release what is not yours. You must separate your spirit from the noise around you. You must disconnect from the battles that do not belong to you. He wants you to look at how many times you tried to move forward this year, and something pulled you back. And yet, you are still standing. That is not weakness. That is spiritual strength. That is proof that heaven has been protecting you even when you did not realize it. He says, you have been fighting a silent battle. A battle that happens in your mind, in your emotions, and in the atmosphere around you. But you are not fighting alone. Every time you felt alone, heaven was covering you. Every time you thought you were losing, spiritual forces were fighting for you. Michael wants you to hear this clearly. The distraction is ending. The fog is lifting. The confusion is breaking. The spiritual interference is losing power. Because your spirit is awakening. Your eyes are opening. Your purpose is rising. The reason this message is reaching you today is because it is time for you to understand what has been happening behind the scenes. It is time for you to stop blaming yourself for battles that did not start with you. It is time for you to stop doubting your anointing. It is time for you to stop second-guessing your intuition. You have been feeling the pressure because you are being prepared for the promise. You have been feeling the warfare because you are stepping into your assignment. You have been feeling the shift because heaven is moving you into a new season of clarity, strength, and divine alignment. Michael says, you will not be distracted anymore. You will recognize every spiritual strategy designed to confuse you. You will see the truth behind people's intentions. You will see the truth behind emotional patterns. You will see the truth behind cycles that kept repeating. Because once you see the truth, the distraction loses power. And Archangel Michael wants you to know this final truth in this part. You are being lifted. You are being strengthened. You are being redirected by heaven. The battles you faced were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to wake you up. When you rise after this, you will not rise as the same person. You will rise with spiritual awareness. You will rise with discernment. You will rise with divine clarity. And nothing will be able to distract you again. Archangel Michael says, what you are walking through is not ordinary. It is not random. It is not coincidence. You have been experiencing a hidden spiritual war around you, and many of the battles you felt were happening long before you became aware of them. He says, listen with your spirit, not just your ears, because this part is meant to open your understanding. Life has been shifting and changing so quickly for you that at times you felt like you could not keep up. People have changed. Situations have shifted. Energy around you has become unpredictable. One moment things felt calm, and the next moment something would rise up and shake your peace. That sudden disruption is not accidental. It is spiritual. Michael reveals, your spirit has been evolving. You have been outgrowing old patterns, old environments, and old energy. Whenever a person steps into a new level of spiritual awareness, the atmosphere around them reacts. Some people react poorly. Some situations break apart. Some connections loosen. And this is not loss, this is spiritual alignment. The war you have been facing has been partly internal, partly external, and partly atmospheric. Internal battles that push you to question yourself. External battles that come through people. Atmospheric battles that create pressure in the environment around you. You have felt waves of heaviness, moments of sudden sadness, unexpected irritation, or fear that did not make sense. These emotions did not come from within you, they came from the spiritual atmosphere around you. You sensed the pressure, but you did not know the source. Archangel Michael says, the pressure was the sign of the war. You were sensing the spiritual turbulence around your elevation. Your spirit was aware even when your mind was not. He wants you to understand something important: every time you rise spiritually, darkness reacts. Every time light increases, resistance increases. This is why you felt targeted. This is why you felt attacked. This is why you felt like something was pushing against you whenever you tried to grow, pray, or step into progress. But Michael says, you were not attacked because you are weak. You were attacked because you are powerful. You carry something inside you that threatens darkness. You carry light that exposes what others try to hide. You carry a calling that activates spiritual attention. There are people who can walk freely without resistance, because they do not carry a divine assignment. But someone like you, someone chosen, someone anointed, someone spiritually sensitive, will always experience warfare before breakthrough. Michael explains, the hidden war around you has had three main purposes. The first purpose was to make you doubt your value. The second purpose was to silence your voice. The third purpose was to delay your purpose. This is why you have faced cycles of emotional exhaustion. This is why thoughts of giving up have crossed your mind. This is why you sometimes questioned if God was still guiding you. These thoughts were not you, they were a spiritual attempt to interfere with your destiny. But even in the worst moments, something inside you refused to break. Something inside you refused to walk away. Something inside you held on, even when you did not know why. That inner strength was not coincidence, that was divine protection. Michael says, heaven has been guarding you even in your weakest moments. Heaven has been fighting battles you never saw. Heaven has been protecting you from spiritual attacks that were meant to take you out. You think you survived because you were strong, but you survived because you were covered. There were situations that should have broken you, but they did not. There were betrayals that should have crushed you, but you healed. There were losses that should have destroyed your faith, but you still believe. Michael says, that is the evidence of the hidden battle and the hidden victory. But he also reveals another truth: some of the people you trusted were unknowingly influenced by spiritual forces. Not because they were evil, but because they were vulnerable. They became open doors for spiritual interference in your life. This is why certain arguments, misunderstandings, or emotional conflicts happened out of nowhere. You were not fighting the person, you were fighting the influence behind them. Michael says, you must learn to separate the individual from the spiritual force influencing the situation. The person is not your enemy. The energy behind it is. Heaven wants you to stop blaming yourself for things you could not control. You carry compassion, and sometimes that compassion made you tolerate people or situations that were spiritually harmful to you. You gave chances to those who drained your energy. You carried emotional weight that was not yours. You stayed connected to situations long after God told you to walk away. But instead of punishing you for that, heaven protected you until you were ready to understand the truth. And now you are ready. Ready to see clearly. Ready to step into spiritual maturity. Ready to walk into your next season without carrying dead weight. Michael says, the war is not meant to scare you. It is meant to strengthen you. You cannot fight what you cannot see. And now that your eyes are opening, you will not be fooled again. You will not be blindsided again. You will not be trapped in the same cycles again. Heaven is teaching you how to recognize spiritual interference early. Heaven is teaching you how to protect your peace. Heaven is teaching you how to guard your mind. Heaven is teaching you how to use your discernment. This season of hidden war was also a training season. God has been preparing you for a higher assignment, and higher assignments require stronger discernment. Michael says, you are being positioned for something greater. This is why the warfare intensified. This is why your spirit has been stretching. This is why your sensitivity has increased. You are being prepared for leadership, influence, breakthrough, and purpose. But here is the most important truth Michael wants you to understand in this part: your victory was guaranteed before the war even started. Nothing you are facing can overpower what heaven has already declared over your life. Nothing can stop the blessing that is coming. Nothing can cancel the purpose you carry. Nothing can hold you back unless you allow it. You are stepping out of the hidden war and stepping into revealed purpose. The things that were confusing will now become clear. The battles that felt endless will now begin to shift. The heaviness you felt will start to lift. The atmosphere around you is about to change. Michael says, you will walk with a new level of authority. You will carry a new level of clarity. You will move with a new level of spiritual confidence. Because you are no longer blind to what has been happening. You are no longer vulnerable to the attacks that once drained you. You are rising with knowledge, strength, wisdom, and spiritual vision. This battle did not destroy you. It prepared you. This war did not weaken you. It awakened you. And now, you will walk into the next part of your journey with power. Archangel Michael says, there is a truth rising in your spirit, and once you understand it, nothing will ever confuse you again. This truth is the doorway that leads you out of spiritual blindness and into spiritual clarity. He says, the truth is simple, but its impact is enormous. You have been carrying a divine identity that darkness has been trying to hide from you. For a long time, you have been living beneath your spiritual capacity. Not because you lacked anointing, but because you lacked awareness. You did not know how powerful you truly are. You did not know how strongly heaven is backing you. You did not know that your presence shifts atmospheres and disrupts dark assignments. Michael explains, every chosen person goes through a season where the enemy tries to attack their identity before they discover who they truly are. You were not attacked because of your past. You were attacked because of your destiny. He says, let me show you the truth behind the patterns you experienced. Every time you tried to grow, a distraction appeared. Every time you tried to pray, something pulled your attention. Every time you tried to heal, someone reopened the wound. Every time you tried to elevate, something tried to bring you down. This was not personal. This was spiritual. The closer you get to breakthrough, the louder the interference becomes. The enemy tried to make you believe that your life was falling apart, but in reality, everything was falling into place. God was removing the wrong people. God was clearing old cycles. God was shifting your environment. But the enemy tried to make the process look like chaos. Michael says, here is the truth you must understand. Sometimes chaos is transformation in disguise. Sometimes conflict is elevation in progress. Sometimes silence is heaven speaking the loudest. You thought the battle was about your circumstances. But the battle was about your calling. Your purpose carries weight. Heaven assigned angels to you not because you are weak, but because you are chosen. When you were crying, angels were fighting. When you were confused, angels were clearing the path. When you were exhausted, angels were lifting your spirit. When you were broken, heaven was rebuilding you. Michael says, you must understand something profound. You survived attacks that were designed to destroy you. You overcame traps that were designed to limit you. You broke cycles that were designed to repeat forever. That is not ordinary. That is spiritual evidence of divine assignment. You think of yourself as someone trying to find the path, but heaven sees you as someone who is carrying the path for others. You are not just walking toward destiny, you are leading others toward theirs. And this is the truth that many forces did not want you to realize. Your light is dangerous to darkness. Your obedience is a threat to the enemy. Your faith activates breakthroughs in the spiritual realm. Michael says, once you know who you are in the spirit, the enemy loses the ability to deceive you. And now, you are awakening. Now, you are remembering who you are. Now, you are refusing to settle for anything beneath your assignment. Now, you are stepping into spiritual intelligence. Heaven is pulling you into a season of revelation. You will begin to see patterns you never noticed. You will begin to sense spiritual motives behind people's actions. You will begin to feel when something is not aligned with your purpose. The truth Michael wants you to accept is this. You are not behind. You are being positioned. You are not abandoned. You are being guided. You are not losing. You are being prepared. Every delay has been divine timing. Every closed door has been divine protection. Every battle has been divine training. The enemy tried to break your mind, but instead, God strengthened it. The enemy tried to exhaust your spirit, but instead, God awakened it. The enemy tried to isolate you, but instead, God spoke to you in the silence. Michael says, you are no longer the person you were last season. You have gained wisdom. You have gained discernment. You have gained resilience. You have gained spiritual authority. This is the truth the enemy hoped you would never see. You are rising. You are aligning. You are stepping into your divine identity. And once this truth enters your spirit, you become unstoppable. Archangel Michael says, you are standing on the edge of a major spiritual shift. This is not a small change. This is not a minor adjustment. This is a turning point that will redefine the next chapter of your life. He says, you must understand the weight of this moment. There are seasons where nothing seems to move, and then there are seasons where everything changes at once. You are stepping into a season where everything begins to shift. The spiritual atmosphere around you is changing. The energy that once felt heavy will begin to lift. The confusion that clouded your vision will begin to clear. The obstacles that once felt impossible will begin to crumble. This is not random. This is divine timing. Michael says, you endured pressure because something powerful was being formed inside you. You went through isolation because God was protecting you from distractions. You felt disconnected from certain people because heaven was separating you from misaligned relationships. The shift is happening because you passed the test. The shift is happening because your spirit matured. The shift is happening because you refuse to break. The spiritual world responds to resilience. Heaven responds to obedience. Breakthrough responds to endurance. Michael says, this shift will come in 3 forms. First, spiritual clarity. You will begin to see things as they truly are. You will recognize truth the moment you hear it. Your intuition will become sharper. Your discernment will become stronger. Second, divine alignment. You will be placed in the right environment. New connections will appear. New opportunities will open. People who were blocking your growth will fall away naturally. Third, supernatural protection. The attacks that once reached you will no longer touch you. The distractions that once deceived you will not fool you. The cycles that once trapped you will break completely. Michael says, you are entering a season where God will make you untouchable in the spirit. Not because you are perfect, but because you are aligned. Heaven has been preparing you for something greater than you imagined. You thought you were walking alone, but you were being led. You thought you were breaking down, but you were breaking open. You thought things were falling apart, but they were falling into position. This next season will shock you. Doors you thought were closed forever will open. Opportunities you forgot about will return. People who underestimated you will witness your elevation. And blessings you were not expecting will arrive. This shift is not something you have to force. It will happen naturally. It will happen spiritually. It will happen suddenly. Michael says, this is why the message reached you today. Heaven is warning you and preparing you at the same time. What is coming requires a strong spirit, a clear mind, and a focused heart. You cannot carry old versions of yourself into your new season. You cannot carry old attachments into divine alignment. You cannot carry old fears into new breakthroughs. Heaven is removing everything that does not belong in your next chapter. This shift will change how you think. This shift will change what you tolerate. This shift will change who you allow near you. This shift will change the path you walk. And Michael says, it will shock you how quickly things begin to move once the shift starts. What took years will happen in months. What was delayed will accelerate. What felt blocked will open effortlessly. You were being prepared for this moment. You were being strengthened for this season. You were being trained for this elevation. The shift is not coming. The shift has already begun.